The Burial, a gripping thriller rooted in true events, kicks off with a riveting speech by our primary character, Mr. Willie E. Gary, known affectionately as Gary, delivered in the local black church. Here, Gary fervently emphasizes the profound impact of faith and spirit, earning the admiration of the congregation. Stepping out of the church, he is joined by his devoted wife. The story then shifts to our second protagonist, Mr. Jurnee O'Keefe, who commemorates his 75th birthday surrounded by his grandsons and his wife, Annette. Mr. O'Keefe is the proprietor of a burial business in Mississippi, a state predominantly known for its sizable black population. Meanwhile, in the courtroom, Willie Gary achieves a miraculous victory for his client, Mr. Klaus Tubbs, against Finch & Co. Food Services, resulting in an astounding $75 million injury claim.
Nice.
Amidst the legal proceedings, Jurnee O'Keefe is in attendance, thoroughly impressed by Gary's legal prowess. He decides to engage Gary's services, encouraged by his legal assistant, Mr. Howe. Reggie Douglas, Gary's legal partner, also shares the room. Both Mr. O'Keefe and Howe present their proposal to Gary, urging him to take on a contract law case. Though initially hesitant, Jerry insists on recounting his story, allowing Gary to make an informed decision. Mr. Jurnee O'Keefe presides over a family legacy in the burial business. However, the Mississippi State Insurance Commission recently raised concerns about the minimum capital held by Jerry's company. Faced with mounting debt, Jerry confides in his longtime friend and attorney, Mr. Mike Allred. Mike suggests that Jerry considers selling a portion of his business to stave off the impending threat from the insurance commission, lest his entire enterprise be consumed. Embarking on a journey to Canada to meet potential buyers, Jerry surprises Mike by introducing a young, exceptionally talented lawyer to their team, Mr. Hall. His reputation as a rising star in the legal field precedes him.
Wow.
Jerry and his legal team are cordially received by Mr. Lewin, the proprietor of Lewin Group LLC, a prominent burial company and undeniably one of the industry giants. Lewin envisions an impending surge in deaths across America, forecasting a staggering 60% increase in the death rate. He believes that strategic acquisitions can grant him a significant edge in Mississippi. However, Jerry doesn't seem entirely enthralled by Lewin's approach to the business. After deliberation, they ultimately arrive at an agreement. Lewin acquires 3 of Jerry's service houses at competitive rates, while Jerry retains ownership of the major assets. Additionally, Lewin agrees not to conduct business within Jerry's territory. It certainly appears to be a mutually beneficial arrangement for Jerry, doesn't it? Well, folks, here is the real twist in the story. As 4 months pass, the deal, initially slated for completion within 30 days, veers off course. Lewin Group LLC repeatedly seeks renegotiations, straying from the original agreement. It raises suspicions, doesn't it? Halbert, known as Hall, begins to suspect that they're being outfoxed by the Lewin Group. He believes that Lewin's interest lies not in finalizing the deal, but in keeping Jerry far from the business operations. This would allow Jerry's debts to accumulate, ultimately leading to the takeover of his entire enterprise by the insurance commission. From there, Lewin could acquire it all from the commission and establish a monopoly. It's a cunning scheme, and Lewin appears to be one step ahead. The revelation strikes Jerry and Hal like a lightning bolt. Together, they resolve to take legal action against Lewin. In the midst of this courageous decision, Hal suggests enlisting the services of Gary, especially given that their case will be presented before a predominantly black jury. In the current moment, Willie Gary doesn't seem swayed by this series of events. He points out the lack of a substantial financial incentive and the fact that this case falls outside his usual purview. However, Hal is undeterred. He persists in persuading Gary, believing that taking on this case and challenging the industry leaders in a multi-billion-dollar field could propel Gary to national prominence. Hal's persistence pays off, and Gary ultimately agrees to take on the case. Mike Allred, Jurnee O'Keefe's long-standing attorney, understandably isn't pleased with Jerry's choice. He emphasizes that if Jerry is so insistent on bringing in someone lacking prior expertise in contract law, he must at least remain as the lead attorney. In the conference room, Jerry's 2 lead lawyers find themselves at opposite ends of the spectrum.
Oh, no.
On one side, Mike suggests sticking with the initial claim of $8 million. On the other hand, Gary presents an entirely different approach. He views this case as a challenge, even a war, and proposes an audacious claim of $100 million. The room is left in awe, questioning Gary's audacity, wondering if he's for real. Amidst the heated debate, Jerry steps in and appoints Gary as the lead attorney for the case, agreeing to pursue the bold claim. When Lewin's legal team receives news of the staggering, some might say outrageous, $100 million claim, they erupt in laughter. It's a reaction well within their rights. However, what truly grabs Lewin's attention is the replacement of Jerry's lawyer. He delves into Willie Gary's background, and upon discovering that they'll be facing off against a black lawyer in front of a predominantly black jury in Hinds County, he swiftly seeks out the best black lawyers available. In response, Jerry's legal team is left astounded when they realize what they're up against.
That's awesome!
Lowen has secured the services of Mame Downs, a Harvard alum with a track record in some of the country's leading law firms, including 2 years of experience in the Supreme Court. She's even earned the nickname Python, a moniker that speaks volumes about her tenacity and determination. The Python is ready to strike. When asked about his background, Gary reveals that it was a desire for revenge against a housing company that insulted him in front of his children that drove him to law school. Some might say this fueled his rise to become a titan in injury claims. Both parties settle into residences at a nearby hotel for the proceedings. Hal is left in awe when he sees the formidable legal team they are up against. Lowen has assembled a formidable group consisting of the country's leading contract lawyers and former legal advisors to the states. It's clear that they prepared an army of legal experts to take on Gary and his relatively inexperienced team. As the arguments unfold, both sides mercilessly dissect each other's claims in a bid to sway the outcome. It becomes evident that Mame is exceptionally well prepared. She exhibits a high level of legal acumen, leaving the jury somewhat persuaded that Jerry's personal animosity fueled this case. Frustrated by the blows dealt by Mame, Gary decides to go all out the next day. Against opposition from his team, he even puts Jerry O'Keefe on trial. However, this desperate move backfires when Gary struggles to defend Jerry against the incisive questions posed by Mame Downs. She goes after Jerry aggressively, even questioning his integrity. She accuses Jerry of misappropriating his client's funds and committing fraud to pay off his debts for the sake of his incarcerated loved ones. After the humiliation received at Mame's hands, Jerry decides to replace Willie Gary with Mike Allred as his lead attorney. The fate of the case now goes in hands of Mike. The following day, Hall contacts a former Lowen Group employee, Lorraine McGrath, and presents her as a witness before the jury. Lorraine accuses Lowen Group of exploiting clients by charging varying prices based on the area, a point that resonates with the jury. However, Mike's hint at racial discrimination catches the attention of the defense. They decide to use this information to discredit him in the proceedings the next day. For the first time, Lowen Group's agreement with the National Baptist Convention comes to light.
Okay.
Hall advises his team to delve deeper into this revelation. The ensuing day proves to be the most tumultuous in the proceedings for Jerry and his legal team. When called to testify, Mame skillfully draws Mike into an argument about his grandfather's affiliations with the Ku Klux Klan, a notorious association involved in the violence against black people and extreme racial discrimination. The tactic is jarring, designed to rattle Mike and his defense. Indeed, the revelation of Mike's grandfather's association sends shockwaves through the case and disrupts the unity within Jerry's legal team. The courtroom erupts into a heated argument, with Mike inadvertently fueling speculations against both him and his friend Jerry in the heat of the moment, expertly manipulated by Mame. This escalates into a physical altercation with Gary's associates. As a result, Gary's entire legal team abandons him, and Mike himself reluctantly steps away from the case, recognizing that his continued presence could do more harm than good. Disheartened by the humiliating turn of events, Jerry decides to abandon the pursuit of the case and opts to withdraw his claim. Anne suggests that, given the circumstances, Jerry should personally convey the decision to Willie Gary. Meanwhile, as the case documents are being relocated after the decision, Hall stumbles upon shocking revelations related to the NBC deal. While Gary and Jerry are outside in the sugarcane fields, with Willie Gary doing his utmost to persuade Jerry to press forward with the case, he receives a call from Hall. In a matter of minutes, everything changes. Without hesitation, they swiftly approach the affected parties of this agreement. The revelations from the affected families shatter their world. As a matter of fact, Lowen Group LLC had approached NBC to secure burial services for their 30,000 black churches and over 1 million members. This partnership was meant to bring financial empowerment, a flow of funds, and upliftment to the deprived sector of society. Instead, it wrought the complete opposite. The financial advisors of the Lowen Group LLC spills out the facts that company made over $1.2 billion, however paid only $200,000 in compensation to the NBC. The tide of the case shifts dramatically as testimonies unfold before the court, leaving the defense stunned by the damning revelations. Sensing the urgency, the defense scrambles to call Lowen for testimony, exactly what Gary had anticipated. During the trial, it is revealed that Lowen has been exploiting the vulnerable and impoverished sectors of society to fund his extravagant lifestyle, including the purchase of yachts and jets worth a staggering $25 million. Faced with an impending defeat, Lowen proposes a settlement to Jerry, offering a substantial $75 million. In their subsequent meeting, Anne is far from swayed by the amount and vehemently rejects the offer. Consumed by fury over his humiliation at the hands of a small businessman, Lowen decides to forego any further attempts at settlement. The following day dawns as Judgment Day for this highly anticipated case. What began as a mere contractual claim now carries the pride of the black community in Mississippi. On November 1st, 1991, the jury delivers their verdict. Lowen Group LLC is found guilty, and plaintiff Mr. Jerry O'Keefe not only secures his claim of $100 million, but also receives an additional $400 million as compensation for his losses. When Lowen Group LLC files for a reconsideration appeal, they ultimately agree to pay $175 million. It turns out that Anne's instincts were remarkably astute. The movie concludes with Mr. O'Keefe establishing a charitable organization dedicated to providing burial services for the less fortunate.